My 28M girlfriend, 26F, insists on narrating every movie we watch and I'm losing my mind. I really need some advice here because I love my girlfriend to pieces, but there's this one thing she does that's driving me absolutely insane and I don't know how to bring it up without hurting her feelings. Every single time we watch a movie or TV show together, she provides constant commentary. And I mean constant. She'll explain what's happening on screen like I'm not watching the same thing she is. Oh look, he's getting in the car now. Predict plot twists out loud. I bet she's the killer. And give me unnecessary background information about the actors. Did you know he was in that one commercial from 2015? Last night we were watching a thriller and right at the most tense moment, she goes, "Ooh, I think the boyfriend did it because earlier when they showed him in the kitchen there was a knife missing from the block." Like, okay, maybe she's right, but now you've just ruined the suspense for me. The worst part is when she explains obvious things. During an action scene she'll be like, "He's running because the bad guys are chasing him," or, "She looks sad because her friend just died." Yes, I can see that. I have functioning eyes and a basic understanding of human emotions. She also does this thing where she'll pause the movie to tell me about how the director's previous film was similar, or how this actress was really good in some indie movie I've never heard of. I appreciate that she knows a lot about films, but sometimes I just want to watch something without a film studies lecture. The thing is, I can tell she thinks she's being helpful and engaging. When I've made small comments like, "Let's just watch," she gets this hurt look and says she was just trying to share her thoughts with me. She genuinely believes she's enhancing the experience, and I don't want to crush her enthusiasm. But honestly, I've started making excuses to watch things alone or with headphones when she's around, which feels terrible. Movie nights used to be our thing and now I'm dreading them. I miss being able to get lost in a story without constant interruption. I've tried subtle hints like, "Oh, let's see what happens," when she starts predicting things, or, "Shush, good part coming up," but she doesn't seem to get it. I think I need to have a direct conversation, but I have no idea how to do this without making her feel bad about something she clearly enjoys. Has anyone dealt with something similar? How do I tell the person I love that their way of watching movies is ruining the experience for me, without making them feel like they need to change who they are? I don't want her to stop sharing her thoughts entirely, but maybe just less frequently? Any advice would be really appreciated. I know this sounds petty compared to real relationship problems, but it's affecting something we used to enjoy together and I don't want resentment to build up over something so fixable. Too long did not read. Girlfriend constantly narrates movies with obvious commentary, predictions, and actor trivia. She thinks she's being helpful but it's ruining the viewing experience for me. How do I address this without hurting her feelings? Hi Steve. Yep, drives me insane too and she's my sister so I had to live with her longer. Maybe you could try telling her that pointing out stuff as it happens is too distracting for you. I also dislike when people do this. I've noticed it more with older folks around me though, so I was surprised by your ages laughing my ass off. Just ask her if you can try something one time. Watch the movie all the way through, no pausing or talking, and then discuss when the movie is over. It sounds like she is trying to have the post-movie discussion during the movie. Maybe you could point out that you would be able to engage more if you could complete the movie first. My parents had certain shows you could talk during and others that you could not. For example, Game of Thrones was no talking because they wanted to focus on what's happening, but Below Deck was a free for all of jokes and commentary. Be upfront and honest with her. Tell her sometimes hearing commentary during movies is great, however, sometimes I just want to enjoy the film. Before watching something together, decide whether or not this is a film or show where you want to talk during or wait till the end to talk. I don't know, maybe give her a notepad and she can write down notes for what she wants to say while you're watching, and then after it's over, you guys could have little discussions about the film. She needs to know how this behavior affects you and that you are not able to enjoy watching things with her because of this. It doesn't need to be tiptoed around, you just need to communicate. She is a grown woman responsible for her own feelings. You don't navigate around them to be able to communicate things that bother you. That's codependency. Just because you love them doesn't mean you accept everything about them or cannot bring up things that bother you. If you want this relationship to last, you have to communicate. If she is emotionally mature, she will take your feedback and make some changes because she wants to be able to spend time with you. If she makes it about her and gets upset, she is letting you know that she is not capable of adult communication. My husband used to do this. I made a deal with him. He would only point out editing mistakes. It kept him quiet and he now focuses only on the editing errors and it's fun. Example scene shows shade down while the guy is talking, next cut same scene shade is up. You would be surprised how many you can find in one movie. My partner, 39 male, was arrested and I, 35 female, asked for court records to ease my mind. I recently found out that my boyfriend of 2 years was arrested about 10 years ago after being accused of hitting his ex-girlfriend. When I first confronted him about it, he looked me in the eye and said he had no idea what I was talking about, that he'd never even been in a courthouse for domestic violence. I told him that didn't make sense, and he kept insisting it never happened. But about 5 minutes into the conversation, he suddenly changed his story. He said he had been arrested but had completely forgotten about it. Then he explained his version of what happened, that his ex was crazy, made it all up, and that the case was eventually acquitted in court. I listened, then called him out for lying at first. He swore again that he never hit her and that it was all false. I get that people have a past, though ideally not one involving accusations of domestic violence, but what really bothers me is the way he first denied it, then claimed he forgot about it entirely. How does someone forget being arrested for something so serious? That just doesn't sit right with me. I asked to see the police report and court records, not because I think he's lying outright, but because I want the full picture. Until that point, the conversation had been calm. But the moment I asked for the documents, he completely lost it. He said I should just believe him and move on. To be clear, I've never felt unsafe with him, and I told him that. I don't believe he would hurt me. But the way he reacted, the denial, the sudden change in story, the refusal to share documents, makes me feel like he's hiding something. Now he's saying that if I don't trust him, we can't move forward. I know I could probably get the records myself, but if he won't be transparent with me, what does that say? Especially if I find something that contradicts what he told me. What would you do in this situation? Would you drop it, continue to ask him for the documents, or just try and get them yourself and see what it says? What would you do in this situation? Would you drop it, continue to ask him for the documents, or just try and get them yourself and see what it says? Why on earth would you just drop it? Get the court records yourself and see what they say. Edited to add. What you should actually do is start getting your ducks in a row to break up with him. So yeah, maybe don't even bother to look this up unless you feel like you need to for whatever reason. But he sure acted like someone with something serious to hide, which I think people who have nothing to hide usually don't do. Look into it if you need to, but get ready to bail. My ex was arrested for domestic violence. First it was, no, I wasn't. Then, well, it's just a misdemeanor. Then, well, okay, it is actually a felony. Then, well, actually I'm still on probation for it. Then, there were stalking charges and stuff too. Nothing crazy. Then, she was crazy. It was all her fault. Then the verbal abuse started. Then the physical abuse. Then I was lying and covering things up to my family and friends. And then one night he hit his tipping point and tried to kill me. Now he's on probation again for his second felony. Edited to add. Domestic violence offenders always gonna repeat. Big honkin' dangerous red fucking flag, that's what that is. His deception and attitude towards it makes it pretty clear that he thinks it's absolutely none of your business that he was arrested and charged with assault by a previous romantic partner. If you were seeing me and asked about an assault charge on my record, I'd absolutely acknowledge that it's entirely your business to know every detail if we're going to date. Especially if I was completely innocent, because I know that how I communicate about it with you is a huge part of how you're going to react. He's communicating as if he's angry with you for wanting to know more. Please run, don't walk, away from him. So many red flags here, the lying, the getting angry with you, the calling her crazy. They always do that, and usually she wasn't after you leave him. He'll be telling the next woman you were crazy. Let's think about this logically. How do you forget? The obvious answer is you don't. Conclusion: he lied. Second question. Why would he lie? Obvious answer: he is hiding something. How did you find out about this? The narcissist's, abuser's, prayer. That didn't happen. And if it did, it wasn't that bad. And if it was, that's not a big deal. And if it is, that's not my fault. And if it was, I didn't mean it. And if I did, you deserved it. Dana Craig. Having a police record isn't necessarily a deal breaker, but it is something serious to talk about. Denial, lying, minimizing, blaming everyone else, refusing to take any accountability points to a pattern of behavior that he is unwilling, unable to change. If you decide to stay, make sure you have an escape plan. He will make it very hard, and dangerous, to leave, and it won't get any easier the longer you wait. I'm so sorry. This is not your fault, and you didn't do anything wrong. Abusers are very good at tricking people. They have lots of practice. Advice for relationship with my 35 male wife's 36 female affair partner, 37 m. Throwaway account in case that matters. I find myself in a particularly awful situation. My wife and I have been together 16 years, married for 8. She has been having an affair, physical and emotional, for the last 9-12 months. I found out about 4 months ago. I will try to be brief since most of the details aren't relevant to the question. I made up names just to make this easier to read. Me, Stephen. Wife, Sarah. Affair partner, John. Backstory. John and Sarah dated in high school. He was described as emotionally abusive. He cheated on her multiple times over the course of their relationship. They dated on and off. When Sarah and Stephen, started dating, she had a special hatred for John. She felt as though she couldn't trust anybody because of how much he lied to her and cheated on her. She made claims along the lines of being permanently scarred from that relationship. When we would visit her hometown and see her friends, they would make comments about much of an asshole John is. Fast forward 15 years, Sarah and I have 2 children together ages 8 and 2. Sarah is an accountant and through her work, John ends up becoming a client. Sarah asked if I had any problem with that. I said no because I trusted her, and additionally, John now lives over 200 miles away. Over the course of working together, their communication gradually became more flirty and eventually developed into an emotional affair and then a physical affair. After I discovered the affair, we began therapy and sought to recover our marriage and stay together. There were issues that needed to be addressed on both sides. While going through therapy, I felt as though she was making virtually no attempt to improve anything, while I felt as though I was jumping through hoops to try to make her happy. The entire time going through therapy, she continued speaking with John. Despite repeated attempts to stop her from talking to him, she would switch between different means of communication and kept trying to hide it. They met several times during this period, which she also attempted to hide. Looking through messages between Sarah and John, the first felt as though John was putting a lot of pressure on Sarah. The messages sound very manipulative. Additionally, he is very pushy and persistent. From my perspective, Sarah really did want to try to work on our relationship, but this guy was perpetually in the way and she couldn't bring herself not to keep responding to him. Long story short, she has declared us separated, and they are now dating. We still live in the same house with our children. This weekend, she invited John to our house without my consent nor notification, with the intention of introducing him to our children. I absolutely lost my mind with anger. I said things that I should not have. I threatened him and I punched a giant hole in the wall. I looked like a giant psychopath. I'm not typically an angry person. I have never acted like this in my life. At this time, any thought of John being with my children or being a part of my children's life makes me irrationally angry. Right now, Sarah is pulling the "you can't legally stop me from introducing them" card, as well as saying that I can't legally stop her from bringing him into our house. All of this is technically true. I have been seeing a therapist, but getting the "you're gonna have to learn to coexist with this man" story is really not helpful right now. She is planning on bringing him back down again next weekend to try again. Any advice? Quit getting violent. It is a great way to lose your children. Absolutely do not get angry again. You can be angry, but it must be controlled. You can tell him to leave and call the police. Get the wall fixed before she can take a picture of it, because that will harm you in court. You will suddenly be the violent, abusive husband who can't be trusted for visitation, and she will be the victim. Remember, they are very likely trying to wind you up and make you angry. You should get a lawyer. Sometimes it's possible to get a TRO for couples living together in separation. Your wife is a horrible woman. Why doesn't she just go live with him? Don't allow him to come next weekend. They can stay at a hotel. Tell all your friends and family to come over to your house to make it impossible for them to be together, or take your children and leave the house until he's gone on Monday. Time to file for divorce. Move out. Sell the house. Set up custody arrangements, etc. Go see a lawyer pronto and do everything they tell you to do. 1. Get a lawyer. 2. Do not act of anger. She's setting you up for a shitty custody battle, and those outbursts will hurt your case, no matter how deserved. 3. Someone needs to get TF out that house. It's becoming an unstable environment. 4. Stop victimizing your wife. You say dude was persistent, but she did nothing to stop it. She even found ways to be sneakier. She's just at fault in this as he is, and even more so because she's the one harming your family now. You're still around and she's introducing her new man. She's a shitty wife, mother, and woman. Lawyer right fucking now. Address custody. Who needs to leave the home? The whole enchilada. You might be able to get a temporary at least injunction against her bringing him around your kids. Financially, make sure she only has access to what's legally entitled and move your half of the money out of reach. Does her business know she's fucking clients? Honestly, unless your lawyer says otherwise, this is where you burn her reputation to the ground. Friends, neighbors, the PTHE asshole, family. Everybody gets to know about the adultery and her conduct. Get the truth out first. If she's at all close to her parents, make sure they know she's trying to bring the guy into your home with your children. If you don't get the story out, she will, and you can bet your temper will be the star. I don't typically respond to these, but consult an attorney and don't leave the house or kids with her. My 32M girlfriend, 29F, upset about proposal. Recently got engaged and my girlfriend didn't find it special enough. We went over to Monterey, the first place that we did a road trip together to, and went on a hike. It was loaded with people because of Memorial Day weekend, and my girlfriend actually gets a little nervous around people. I originally wanted to go up to Big Sur and go on a trail that overlooked everything, but when I mentioned Big Sur, my girlfriend said that might be a bit far since we'd like to squeeze in the aquarium. Instead of choosing another trail, I had her choose one with a walking distance she was comfortable with, and we basically went on a random trail until I found a spot to pop the question. I gave a little speech and got on one knee and asked her, and she was extremely happy in the moment and said yes. We walked back and rest of the trip went normally. When we got back home the next day, she asked what did you plan, just to see the details, as she was curious and still happy. But to be honest, I didn't really have an answer. I booked a restaurant and wanted to take her to Big Sur, but what actually happened was we just went to Monterey and chose a random trail. No flowers, no poster, anything but the rain. To her it didn't feel special. She had booked the Airbnb and randomly chose a trail, and it basically felt like every other trip we go on. To me, my only requirement basically was that we go to Monterey, the first place we traveled to, and propose at a hike, which was what we did on our first date together. She spent the whole next day crying and said it was her one and only time to be proposed to, and it just wasn't special. It's not like she wanted people there or anything, but just wish I had planned more. In hindsight, I should have chosen the Airbnb and have been more adamant on going where I wanted to go, but I wanted to prioritize her comfort. Towards the end of the night she said she's not sad anymore and it's okay, but I feel terrible. I'm not sure what to do at this point. It just feels like we're not going to be okay and it's going to loom over her. Has anyone ever redone a proposal or something? I'm just looking for some advice and to see if this has happened to anyone else before. I'm confused on where everyone is getting the idea she wanted a huge grand proposal. She seemed happy with the proposal itself until she realized Op didn't put much thought into actually planning it. It seems like that is what she is upset about, and that seems fair enough to me. Lots of misogynists commenting on this post. So she actually did the administrative side of the trip? Is she typically the one who does this kind of planning? If so, dude, come on. You can't really redo a proposal. It's done. What you could do is actually plan something, a weekend trip you think she'll enjoy, as a means of celebrating this time, and do all the work to organize it. If this not just a case of, you never do the work to plan things in your relationship, then more context is needed about what she thinks is special enough. I have questions. Did y'all discuss beforehand how she wanted to be proposed to? Like flowers, dinner afterwards, etc. If she asked for these things beforehand and you didn't take the time to do those things, I can understand why she is upset. Plan a surprise engagement party for her. You mentioned she gets a bit uncomfortable being around a lot of people, so perhaps you can coordinate this with a few folks she's close with. If I just went on a walk in the woods to get proposed to after I planned half the trip, I think I would feel the same. I mean, getting engaged to the person you love is a big gesture, but where was the romance? No people waiting for her with a small party to celebrate right after? No flowers? No photographer? No special decorated location or even a picnic? I think I would dump Op because I am a gesture person and I like to feel special and thought of, and it doesn't sound like I would be. Did Op even consult her friends? They definitely could have pitched in if they had the opportunity. As a woman, I understand where she is coming from. If my fiancé had proposed like this, I probably wouldn't tell him I was upset about it, but deep down I would be a little disappointed. Women think about their engagement their whole lives. We might not say it, but we do want something that's planned and thought out with this in mind. I think a redo is kind of silly, but you could plan a surprise engagement party with all of your close friends and family to let her know you care and want to make her feel special.